One, two, one, two, one, two. What's going on? It's your boy Jason Mass. Jason Mass playing music with another music review for you. This time we're going to go with Prince and the Revolution, Purple Rain soundtrack from 1984. Um, yeah, big record. My favorite Prince record would be this one. Quite possibly the best soundtrack ever. You know, I think the conversation for me, as far as best soundtracks, it's either this or the Bee Gees Saturday Night Fever. I think I might lean towards Purple Rain a little bit more, but yeah. Um, Prince, you know, the late great Prince Rogers Nelson. You know, always had that ability to balance the sacred and the profane, sex and God, the gender blurring, and just a revolutionary in so many different areas, and just a virtuoso musician. Just any instrument he touched, he just mastered. One of the all-time great recording artists in the history of recorded sound and music. Yeah, let's get off into it track by track. Starts off with "Let's Go Crazy," um, the introductory church sermon and the manic guitar solo ending. Famously sampled by Public Enemy. It's a complete rock song. Complete, just yeah. And that was the second single from the album. Perfect track, 10 out of 10. Then we go to the duet with Apollonia, "Take Me With You." Sounds very majestic, an Arabic kind of accompaniment, an example of even the lesser songs from Purple Rain still being brilliant. Like this track. This one was a 9 out of 10 for me. And then we go to the beautiful ones, a ballad that comes across as an ultimatum. With the is it going to be him or is it going to be me? Because I want you. That lyric, it's an ultimatum. Um, Perfect track. Just only Prince could have pulled that off. 10 out of 10. Then we get to Computer Blue, with the horror movie like piano intro. Wendy, yes, Lisa. Is the water warm enough? Yes, Lisa. That's real cool. um, Great song. Um, that break midway through the song. It's the Father song. That's the title of the instrumental piece, which is actually was a piano piece that Prince transferred over to guitar in the middle part of Computer Blue. Um, that Father song track is available on the deluxe edition of Purple Rain that came out a couple years ago. Perfect track. Also a 10 out of 10. Then we get to Darling Nikki, the infamous Darling Nikki. Yeah, PMRC back in the day was up in arms about this one. The masturbating with a magazine line, I think, was what did it to him. But anyway, perfect song, great song, 10 out of 10. Um, End of that song, it always sounded like actual fucking to me. Sound like sex. Like the music sounds like an orgasm happening, and Prince's screams and sounds, match the driving intensity of the instrumentation. Um, and it just sounds like, yeah, it sounds like sex. And it ends with that weird backwards choir. And when I was a kid, that used to scare me. I would always stop the tape real quick and flip it over before it came on, especially at night when I would try and go to sleep to Purple Rain. You should, play it in reverse sometimes just for fun, and it's just, yeah, just a choir singing. That's all it is. But when you hear that in reverse as a kid, it can scare you, and it definitely did scare me as a what 9, 10 year old 10 year old kid or whatever, you know. Then we get to When Doves Cry, iconic track. Um, I think this was the first single from the record, and bass line, no bass line. Everybody knows about that in the track, and this is an example of something of a song going viral before going viral was even a thing. You know, I remember when this came out, the next day that was the conversation. Like, hey, you heard that new Prince song? It's like that was just the conversation among not just music fans, but just casual music fans. Everybody was talking about, you know, like how unusual that song sounded at the time and back in '84. Then we go to I Would Die for You. And when Doves Cry, yeah, that's a 10 out of 10, kind of goes without saying. But I Would Die for You, that's Prince showing his religious, spiritual leanings by making a song that was about God, um, specifically about Jesus Christ. You know, hence, I would die for you. I'm not a woman, I'm not a man, I am something that you will never understand. And sometime, if you ever want to read those lyrics for further clarification about Prince and spirituality, it's a beautiful sentiment and great piece of work. I would give it a 9 out of 10. And then we go into "Baby I'm a Star," a song that kind of correctly predicted this era's obsession with fame, and it's driven by something that's either, if you view it a certain way, it's extreme self-confidence or the arrogance of ego, depending on how you look at it. However, this thing that Prince is talking about is something that he had the talent to back up, you know, in terms of his lust for wanting to be a star, whereas most people obviously don't have what that guy had in terms of talent and drive and ambition and, you know, all the things that it takes to be a star. You know, it's not as easy as just wanting to be a star and then you're a star. We all know that. But anyway, the album ends with the title track "Purple Rain," which was the third and final single. Very beautiful ballad. Um, every second of the 8 minutes and 42-second runtime is totally justified. And those mournful strings at the end are so heavy. It's just the perfect way to end a nearly perfect album. Easily one of the best albums I've ever heard. Always in the conversation for greatest album of all time. To me, it's Prince's best album, and I think a lot of that goes down to it being a kind of precise, short album. It's not only 9 tracks long, and that brevity there again, you know, helps this album's rating because it's not a lot of room for error. You know, out of 9 tracks, 6 of these tracks, in my opinion, are perfect tracks, and the remaining 3, while not perfect, are brilliant. And there's nothing less than brilliant on this record. So my final score would be a 9.7 out of 10 for Prince and the Revolution's "Purple Rain." Great soundtrack, great film by a great artist, and I think the world is a lesser place for Prince not being here. You know, I still haven't really accepted that he is no longer in mortal human form. You know, it's something I deal with. Anyway, please get familiar with that if you're not familiar with it. But who at this point isn't familiar with Purple Rain? Anyway, thanks for listening. Y'all be cool. Peace.